Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'm reacting to another tele-animated video for you guys, and this was titled The Evolution of Darth Vader / Anakin Skywalker animated. So without further ado, I'm going to turn these lights off, move the camera up here for you guys, and let's get this reaction on the road in the back, shall we? Okay, here we go.
Darth Vader might be the most iconic villain of all time, but his humble beginnings aren't so fondly remembered. From the sand dunes of Tatooine to the planet-destroying Death Stars, let's go through his live-action evolution, animated. In Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, a young enslaved Anakin Skywalker, apparently born from immaculate conception, sports a bowl cut and dirty clothing. After having his blood tested by a stranger, he earns his freedom by winning a pod race, abandoning his mother on Tatooine to join the stranger's space cult, the Jedi Order. After the stranger dies, his apprentice Obi-Wan takes him under his wing. He's then made to wear Padawan robes and sport a braid.
You know, that was the one thing I hated about this movie was after he won his freedom, he couldn't rescue his mother from being a slave too. And it was also sad to see Qui-Gon Jinn get killed, but at least Obi-Wan Kenobi stepped up to be his master, because Qui-Gon believed in Anakin right here to be the chosen one.
Meanwhile, Anakin develops a crush on Padme, the Queen of Naboo. 10 years later, in Attack of the Clones, Anakin is taller, with darker hair and darker clothes, and a longer, unrecognizable face. He is assigned to guard the now Senator Padme, and makes her fall in love with him by means of, creepy stares? Later, after reuniting with his lost mother, she soon passes away, and he avenges her by slaughtering an entire village of Tusken Raiders. But luckily, Padme is cool with this. This time, Anakin battles against Sith Lord Count Dooku and loses his arm, but he obtains a robotic replacement. He also secretly marries Padme, despite the Jedi's code that forbids love. 3 years later, in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin's clothes are even darker, his hair is longer, his face is scarred, and he's gloved his robo-arm.
You know, that was the thing I did not understand about the Jedi Order. I mean, like, come on. If you see somebody that you love, you don't have to be, like, secretly married. I mean, good Lord, every single Jedi that was on that council would not live forever. They got to have new ones. And I think I heard that some Jedi Masters were married at one time, but then they either got divorced or the wives died, and they don't have to feel so heartbreaking since their rule is you can't marry or date anybody, which is stupid. You know, Anakin should have been brave enough when he was talking to Yoda in this film about his nightmares. He should have opened up to him about him being married. I could see him getting the council together, but he will be in favor of Anakin's decision, as well as Obi-Wan. Mace Windu, I don't know. He'd probably think they should banish him from the Jedi Order. All he had to do was talk it out, instead of him getting all rageful in this film, and then accidentally killing Padme.
In an effort to save his pregnant wife after experiencing premonitions of her death, he seeks help from Chancellor Palpatine, a secret Sith Lord who makes Anakin his apprentice, dubbing him Darth Vader. Now evil, Anakin's eyes turn red and yellow, and he chokes his wife Padme, ultimately becoming the cause of her death. He goes head-to-head with Obi-Wan, but loses the high ground, which results in his remaining limbs getting sliced off and being burned in lava. But he's rebuilt with a shiny, life-saving black suit, a fancy robe with a cape, and a perfectly symmetrical mask. 19 years later, in Rogue One, Vader's codpiece is large and wrinkly, his robe is above his shoulder pads, and his control panel is simplified. His helmet is less symmetrical, with a smaller breathing apparatus, red-tinted lenses, a stockier neck, and a prominent widow's peak. He attacks a rebel fleet carrying Death Star
Darth Vader is one of my favorite villains of all time. And I gotta say that those red lenses on his mask really make him more scarier. I mean, don't get me wrong, the basic black lenses that he has in other films do too, but the red just really makes him stand out more, let's put it that way. But I'm not a huge fan of his robe going over the shoulder pad look. I think it was better in Return of the Jedi with the robe underneath this metal plate thing. But still, he's a force to be reckoned with, that's for sure.
Construction plans, but they just barely escape his grasp. A New Hope features a more smudged-looking suit, with a normal codpiece and periodically see-through lenses. Vader manages to defeat Obi-Wan, and then heads into battle, getting knocked into space while chasing a young pilot, narrowly avoiding his battle station's destruction. In Empire Strikes Back, Vader is back, and this time, he's much shinier. His robe is now under his shoulder armor, his control panel is more robotic, and his helmet has a less prominent widow's peak, darkened lenses, and a larger breathing apparatus.
See what I mean? It looks more simpler to have the robe underneath his armor shoulder pads, but the darkened lenses just make it look like an ordinary mask to me with sunglasses. The red lenses make Darth Vader look more terrifying in my book, but I did like how the films progressed, that his suit kept evolving. But man, I really wish that we saw a film where Darth Vader got an upgraded suit and he wouldn't have died in Return of the Jedi. But I don't think that's never going to happen either, unless they decide to make a time-traveling Star Wars film, but that's out of the question for sure. But this look still looks all right for me.
He learns that the young pilot he chased is actually his son, Luke, and decides to turn him to the dark side, but things don't quite work out. In Return of the Jedi, Vader sports the same look as Empire, as his son invites him to join the light side. But Vader resists, and once again, loses an arm. But upon seeing Palpatine overpower Luke, Vader overthrows his master, defeating the Sith. He allows Luke to take off his mask in order to see his son with his own eyes, revealing his pale, burnt face, sometimes with or without eyebrows, and then he passes away. While his remains are burned in ceremony, his Force ghost looks on in peace. Or, in angry young angst. While this would be the end of Vader's story, his mask would appear in the sequel trilogy, guiding Kylo Ren on his own evolution. Can someone grab this guy a cow?
Yeah, that was really sad to see Darth Vader's journey end at the end of Return of the Jedi. But at least he got to see his son's face without the mask on. But I thought that was all creepy to have his burnt up helmet in the newer Star Wars trilogy with Kylo Ren. Just for him to look at and guide him on his path of darkness. Really strange. And I think it was the Rise of Skywalker that Kylo and Rey destroyed that mask. Kind of like signifying the end of one era and beginning of a new, pretty much. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more tailored animated content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man's Quarter channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and I said that's a wrap, and that's day on.